Hello, Colin Hung here for Healthcare IT Today, and I am here in Chicago, Illinois for RSNA 2024. It's day 2 here, and today is the day where I have just learned a ton of new things, and I have a new appreciation for all the challenges that radiologists face. Today started off with a great interview with Dr. Raj Chopra. He's the Chief Medical Officer at Merge by Merative. He and I spoke about how radiologists might actually need a playbook to handle when there is a cybersecurity incident, because they are frontline. They're facing patients, they're talking to their fellow clinicians, and when something goes wrong, like the PAC system isn't available due to a cybersecurity event, they are going to have to be prepared with some answers. Here's a short clip of our interview.
So in the world of cybersecurity, I think the physician or the radiologist is not the center point of what we think about on a day-to-day basis. What we think about is, are we able to read our images? Are we able to, is the PACS working? Is the power on? Is my tech doing a good job? But when cybersecurity occurs, or an event occurs, a cyber attack occurs, and everything goes down, we definitely become the center of all the attention, because we're the focal point of the communication of what's happening, right? To the patient who's waiting for their scan to get done, to the clinician who's calling us to find out the results, to our own staff trying to get their work done. We're sitting in the middle of it with a lot of frustrated people, and oftentimes we don't know what to say when the event occurs. So I want to bring attention to the fact that vendors that are out there, if they do a better job of informing us, we can be better at informing everybody else.
Watch for the full interview with Dr. Chopra on Healthcare IT Today. You are going to want to hear what he has to say about cybersecurity and radiology in full. Now, while I was here, I also had the chance to sit down with Dr. Samir Shah from Qure.ai. I was very curious to learn from Dr. Shah why it was so important for Qure.ai to seek so many FDA clearances for their AI solution. You're going to want to hear what he has to say about how the FDA is needed and how it represents a good barrier to entry in order to build confidence in AI in radiology. Here's a short clip of that conversation.
It's good, because otherwise you kind of have a situation of a wild, wild west. You have to have some regulation over, is the AI really working? Is it not working? And so going through the FDA process is important. Now, that being said, it's very expensive, very expensive. You need a lot of time and money. It takes almost up to a year to get some FDA clearances, and it takes pre-study, post-study, so there's a lot of effort involved in FDA clearance. I'm happy to say that Qure actually has more FDA clearances now than any other group. We have 18. So we've really gone from maybe being behind in FDA clearances to now being at the forefront. We've actually seen the FDA ask much more rigorous questions, have much more rigorous standards as time has gone by, because they know more about AI and how it works. Things like, bias and drift and new concepts that weren't really thought about in the early days of AI.
Another great session today was the Lunch and Learn being put on by PocketHealth. It was a great panel where they discussed a lot of the challenges facing radiology and radiology departments today. And there were some really great quotes from the session. I really appreciated one from Stacy from the University of Rochester, where she made a quote that says, "Smart patients are engaged patients," meaning that when you engage patients, they become smarter in their care. And when you have smart patients, they want to engage with you because they have questions and they want to be more active partners in their care. I think that was a great quote and really encapsulated the spirit of that conversation. There was an eye-popping statistic that was shared during that Lunch and Learn, one that I didn't realize, and that was over 80% of images are still shared via CD. So it turns out that the healthcare industrial complex is not only supporting faxes, we're also supporting CDs. Who would have thought? Now, the main thrust of that panel was to say it is our challenge and incumbent upon us to really make efforts and invest in the technologies that will make it so that CDs are no longer required. Lastly, of course, I had to tour through the exhibit hall again today, and there was a lot of very interesting technologies, and I'll have a full wrap up in the next couple of days. There are also some very cool marketing techniques being put on here, so look for that on Sway Health for my recap of RSNA from a marketing perspective. But I will say that I was pretty impressed with a couple of things. There was a company called MicroX that has a miniature X-ray machine that is built in a sort of ellipse shape that can actually go in the back of a standard ambulance. And what that allows a technician or a clinician in the field to do is a head X-ray to determine whether or not there's a bleed and what type of triage and treatment this patient may need. I was just amazed at the size of this X-ray machine, and I was actually really impressed that they really designed it for this very specific use case of being mobile, both in an ambulance but also being carted around. So you could actually use this in an OR setting. So instead of moving the patient from the OR down the imaging to get the image, you can just wheel this device in and get the head scan right there. Pretty impressive technology. I also have to give a shout out to the Nova Scotia Health Service. They were here and they're actively recruiting techs. So if you're a rad tech and interested in living and working in a beautiful part of Canada, I would encourage you to check out the Nova Scotia team here at RSNA. I'm giving them a plug. I'm looking forward to day 3. It's going to be full of lots of other learnings, I'm sure. I'm going to be very excited to check out a number of interesting companies in the exhibit hall. Can't wait for it. Looking forward to it. I'm Colin Hung here at RSNA 2024 in Chicago, Illinois. Thanks for being here, and I'll catch you on the next video.